Program Impak SPM 2022-23 ini adalah lanjutan dan pengeluasan usaha yang telah dilaksanakan untuk pelajar-pelajar SPM tahun lalu yang telah menzahirkan keberhasilan yang menetaskan maklum balas amat positif dari pelbagai pihak. Maka Yayasan Impak mengal-alukan kebersamaan dan dukungan pihak yang berkongsi hasrat dan bertaut niat untuk menyantuni pula pelajar-pelajar SPM 2022-23 menuju kejayaan peperiksaan demi masa depan mereka. Program ini telah terbit dari Cakna dan Kepedulian Impak tentang masalah pelajar-pelajar tingkatan 5 menghadapi peperiksaan SPM akibat ketiadaan atau kekurangan kelas-kelas bersemuka selama hampir 3 tahun kerana musibah COVID. Pengajaran dan pembelajaran di rumah PDPR yang mengganti kelas-kelas biasa amat menyukar dan membebani penerimaan justru membenda proses pembelajaran. Bahana kepada pelajar-pelajar ini semestinya getir kerana SPM adalah landasan persekolahan yang amat kritikal menuju kelangsungan kerjaya, malahan kehidupan hari muka. Ramai pelajar-pelajar khususnya di luar bandar dan dari keluarga miskin yang amat terkesan oleh pelbagai hambatan dan tuntutan dari kelas maya yang agak canggih dan belum dikuasai oleh majoriti mereka. Malahan, belajar tanpa kebersamaan guru-guru dalam kelas adalah amalan yang ganjil membawa satu kejutan budaya yang membatasi pelbagai aspek pembelajaran hingga ramai yang terjejas, terbelenggu, tertekan, malahan ada yang tercicir. Menambah parah mulai peperiksaan SPM 2021 menyaksikan dasar kurikulum standard sekolah menengah atau KSSM yang baru telah diperkenal buat pertama kalinya hanya tahun lalu. Di samping perubahan kandungan dan pendekatannya, ia mempunyai format menjawab untuk penilaian dan skema permakahan yang berbeza dari sebelumnya, memberi akibat negatif bila tidak dipatuhi. Hakikatnya, perubahan ini telah didapati amat menjejas prestasi pelajar-pelajar kerana maklum balas yang diperolehi membuktikan ramai pelajar-pelajar, malahan ada guru-guru berkaitan juga, tidak memahami format penilaian dan skema permarkahan tuntutan kemahiran berfikir aras tinggi atau kebat untuk SPM. Maka, Impak telah bertekad untuk menyantuni pelajar-pelajar ini demi menangani masalah yang telah dihadapi. Dengan kerjasama Majlis Guru Cemerlang Negeri Kedah dan Setuhan Pengalaman yang berbahagia Tan Sri Alimuddin Muhammad Dom, mantan Ketua Pengarah Pelajaran Malaysia, Penasihat Pendidikan Impak, program intervensi SPM yang amat berjaya dilaksanakan untuk SPM tahun lalu, Impak akan mengulangi usaha serupa untuk SPM 2022-23. Penerusan program ini telah didukung kuat dari penilaian keberkesanan program 2021 oleh Pengarah Jabatan Pendidikan Negeri Kedah yang berbahagia Tuan Haji Rozaini bin Ahmad. Usaha tahun ini juga telah mendapat kelulusan Kementerian Pendidikan Malaysia dan sokongan mantap Ketua Pengarah Pendidikan Malaysia yang berbahagia Datuk Hajah Nur Zamani binti Abdul Hamid. Program intervensi ini sekali lagi bertujuan untuk mengimbangi kelompongan dari PDPR dan jurang penguasaan KSSM dan pemahaman kaedah skema pemarkahan kebat. Program ini tertumpu kepada 6 subjek teras dalam peperiksaan SPM. Berdasarkan keberhasilan usaha tahun 2021, program Impak SPM 2022-23 ini akan diperluaskan tumpuan utamanya dari Kedah kepada 3 lagi negeri utara Semenanjung, Perak, Pulau Pinang dan Perlis. Maka program ini ditakrir sebagai K3P akan bermula pada bulan Julai 2022 ini. Jabatan Pendidikan Negeri-Negeri K3P telah juga memberi dukungan untuk pelaksanaan program demi kemaslahatan pelajar-pelajar SPM 2022-23. Ekoran saranan Ketua Pengarah Pendidikan Malaysia, program akan diperluaskan juga tumpuan utamanya selain K3P meliputi juga Lembah Kelang, Wilayah Persekutuan dan Selangor serta di selatan, Negeri Sembilan dan Melaka. Namun sebagai memanfaatkan PDP digital dalam talian, program ini akan boleh diakses dan terbuka juga kepada pelajar-pelajar seluruh negara. Malahan, usaha sedang dilaksana bagi memungkinkan pelajar-pelajar Malaysia Timur untuk mendapat manfaat. Keistimewaan PDP Impak SPM 2022-23 ialah ia akan dilaksana oleh guru-guru pakar yang berpengalaman dan mahir dalam PDP subjek-subjek berkaitan dari segi persediaan untuk peningkatan capaian dalam peperiksaan SPM. PDP program akan dilaksana dalam 3 fasa, bermula dengan sesi-sesi asas menyubur minda dan usaha terhadap peperiksaan melalui modul-modul motivasi dan ajaran sentuhan rohani hingga persediaan menghadapi peperiksaan Mac 2023. PDP bimbingan guru-guru pakar berpengalaman akan membolehkan pelajar-pelajar mengulang kaji liputan silibus subjek-subjek di fasa pertama dan disusul oleh sesi-sesi latihan berjadual secara berfokus untuk tajuk-tajuk utama berserta ujian latih tubi dalam fasa kedua. Peringkat terakhir fasa ketiga dilaksana mulai November 2022 hingga Februari 2023 adalah yang paling kritikal dan dari maklum balas tahun lalu adalah yang amat membantu pelajar-pelajar kerana guru-guru membimbing dengan tips atau petua-petua bagi memungkinkan peningkatan skor tinggi. Fasa 3 ini memberi modul-modul untuk cara pemahaman soalan yang menjurus kepada petua atau tips menjawab menepati tuntutan kebat yang menekankan kebolehan penghuraian jawapan. Guru-guru juga memberi tips cara menjawab untuk menepati skema penilaian atau kaedah pemarkahan format KSSM 2021. Satu lagi keistimewaan program Impak ialah pemanfaatan aplikasi digital muda sebagai platform program. Ia memungkinkan pelajar-pelajar bukan sahaja mengikuti kelas-kelas pada waktu sebenar atau real time, tetapi juga membuat rujukan ulangan pasca sesi pada bila-bila masa, termasuk secara kelompok di sekolah atau asrama. Arkib rakaman semua kelas-kelas pula dan nota-nota PDP bagi setiap sesi juga boleh diulang rujuk dan dimuat terus sebagai hak kopi oleh pelajar-pelajar yang amat membantu bagi mereka yang terlepas kelas-kelas digital langsung atau sukar malahan mungkin terputus capaian semasa sesi. Tinjauan rawat impak untuk SPM 2021 dari pelajar-pelajar memperakukan bahawa rakaman dan nota program impak ini amat berguna dan telah dimanfaat luas sebagai rujukan mentelaah subjek-subjek yang mana ada juga melibatkan rakan-rakan pelajar yang mendapat faedah tanpa perlu mendaftar dalam program. Impak telah menerima hantaran dan respon yang amat positif dari kalangan pelajar-pelajar di mana ramai dari mereka menyatakan telah memperolehi peningkatan pencapaian dan peperiksaan percubaan trial exam SPM 2021 hasil dari pemanfaatan bahan impak SPM kita. Maka nyatalah program intervensi SPM 2021 telah memberi manfaat kepada bilangan pelajar-pelajar yang berganda berbanding dengan angka yang mendaftar rasmi iaitu seramai 7,000 pelajar. Adalah dianggarkan jumlah keseluruhan yang mendapat manfaat secara langsung atau tidak langsung dari kelas-kelas dan arkib nota-nota impak adalah melebihi 15,000 pelajar-pelajar SPM. Malahan mungkin jauh lebih besar seluruh negara. Untuk SPM 2022-23, bukan sahaja PDP dan peningkatan teknologi ditambah baik, tetapi matlamat sasaran usaha akan ditingkatkan dari segi penyertaan dan keberhasilan. Sebagai usaha meningkatkan pencapaian dan kemaslahatannya, impak SPM 2022-23 insya-Allah akan disokong oleh bangkit bersemuka bersasar bagi sekolah-sekolah daif yang memerlukan, pengembelingan guru-guru cemerlang negeri-negeri, webinar berfokus untuk subjek-subjek tertentu. Bangkit bersemuka secara bersasar akan tertumpu kepada beberapa daerah yang mengandungi ramai pelajar-pelajar daif dari segi latar belakang ekonomi dan daya pencapaian akademik. Jabatan Pendidikan Negeri akan membuat pemilihan kawasan dan mencadangkan pengisian program. Di samping 6 subjek teras, rancangan telah dirangka untuk kemungkinan penambahan modul-modul, bidang-bidang motivasi, pembangunan akhlak dan kemahiran hidup seperti digital skill, financial literacy, entrepreneurial motivation, inovatif dan kreatif mindset dan sebagainya. Di bidang digital, kita mahu memupuk minat dan kemahiran di kalangan anak-anak untuk bidang seperti teknologi maklumat dan komunikasi, reka bentuk teknologi termasuk programming dan koding yang banyak diajar di peringkat usia demikian. Adalah diharapkan dengan sokongan dan dukungan pelbagai agensi, entiti-entiti korporat prihatin dan badan-badan yang bertaubat matlamat serta dermawan yang berkongsi minat dan niat, kita boleh melaksanakan satu template, satu usaha dan satu kebajikan ibadah untuk pelajar-pelajar menamat jaya persekolahan menengah mereka menuju pengajian lanjutan dan atau kerjaya. Bersatu, kita boleh membawa perbezaan agar pelajar-pelajar anak-anak bangsa cemerlang dan pembangunan pendidikan negara gemilang dan terbilang, insya-Allah. Bersama, kita lebih kuat dan lebih berjaya.
Anda pelajar SPM Negeri Kedah, Perak, Pulau Pinang, Perlis. Berita baik untuk anda. Impak SPM kembali lagi dengan wajah baru dengan membawakan program yang lebih bermanfaat, padu, mantap dan berkesan. Santunan Pendidikan Keluarga Malaysia, Impak SPM Wilayah Utara K3P. Program Impak SPM Wilayah Utara K3P tahun 2022 ini dilaksanakan oleh Yayasan Impak, inisiatif membangun pendidikan dan amal kebajikan yang telah diperbadankan di bawah Akta Pemerbadanan 258 Jabatan Perdana Menteri. Yayasan ini telah banyak melaksana program-program santunan pendidikan di samping kebajikan, terutamanya untuk kumpulan B40 sebagai menyumbang usaha untuk kesejahteraan keluarga Malaysia. Yayasan Impak disokong oleh beberapa NGO lain yang berpadu niat dan bergabung sumber untuk menyumbang usaha terhadap kemajuan pendidikan anak-anak bangsa. Program ini merupakan tahun kedua dijalankan selepas mendapat maklum balas yang positif dari pelajar dan guru yang menyertainya pada tahun 2021. Pada tahun ini, Impak SPM kembali membawakan program Impak SPM Wilayah Utara K3P yang memfokuskan 4 negeri dalam wilayah utara meliputi Kedah, Perak, Pulau Pinang dan Perlis. Program ini meliputi 3 fasa. Fasa 1, Fasa 2, Fasa 3. Program ini mengetengahkan kelas secara maya dan bengkel bersemuka untuk tahun 2022. Antara lokasi pilihan untuk bengkel bersemuka: Batang Padang, Perak, Sik, Kedah, dan 2 negeri yang belum ditentukan lokasinya, iaitu Pulau Pinang dan Perlis. Ianya juga dijalankan secara hybrid untuk beberapa kawasan sasaran khas tertentu, iaitu daerah yang lemah capaian internet. Rata-rata maklum balas yang diterima. Hasil positif terhadap prestasi akademik pelajar. Keputusan percubaan SPM 2021, pelajar yang cemerlang. Menyaksikan pelajar-pelajar mendapat manfaat daripada program terdahulu. Maklum balas melalui hantaran media sosial memperakukan keberkesanan PDP yang dilaksanakan. Penyertaan Impak SPM Wilayah Utara K3P kini dibuka untuk tahun 2022. Pendaftaran khusus buat pelajar SPM Wilayah Utara dan negeri-negeri lain juga turut dibuka pendaftaran khas untuk menyertai. Ayuh, daftar segera sekarang.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good evening. All right, welcome to today's class. Okay, it's turn for SPM English paper. All right, and tonight we will be focusing on 1119/2 paper, which is the writing paper. And the presenters for today will be myself, Mr. Ahmad Azrul Afizi bin Ahmad Rosdi, and my friend, Mr. Said Nur Yazid bin Said Nur Effendi. Okay, so let's look at the overall overview of writing paper. All right, so I'm sure that you know that there are 3 parts altogether. So part 1, it is known as the short communicative essay, which is the email question, where you have to write in about 80 words only. All right, and the marks for part 1 is 20 marks. So the suggested time would be 20 minutes for part 1. As for part 2, the guided writing, you are supposed to write in about 125 to 150 words only, and it also carries 20 marks, and the time suggested for part 2 is 25 minutes. The last part, which is part 3, okay, which I believe is the most difficult part to some of the students. It is known as the extended writing, and you have to write in about 200 to 250 words, where there are 3 questions given in part 3. You have to choose one. They are either an article, a review, a report, or a story. So SPM 2021 article came out already, restaurant review. So maybe this year, we don't know, perhaps a report, okay? And also, the total marks for part 3 is 20 marks, and time suggested for you to answer part 3 would be 45 minutes. Okay, all in all, the total marks would be 60 marks for this paper, for writing paper. However, please bear in mind that the weightage for writing paper, as well as the other papers, reading, speaking, and listening, the weightage is only 25%. Okay, and as for tonight, Mr. Yazid and I will be focusing only on part 1 and part 2. Okay, I myself will touch on part 1, whereas Mr. Yazid will be touching on part 2. All right, before we move into part 1, let's look at the marking scheme. So what are the things, or what are the criteria which are being looked into when examiner mark your writing or your essay? Okay, the first one is content. The total marks for content is 5 marks. Okay, what is it mean by content? Whether you have fulfilled the task given. Okay, the second one is communicative achievement, which refers to the genre and register used for the given task. And the same with content, the total marks is 5 marks. Next one would be organization. This is how you connect your ideas in your writing. Okay, total marks also 5 marks. And lastly, language, where it refers to the lexical, which means your vocabulary, and also the grammatical aspects of your writing. And this one also carries, the total marks for this one is also 5 marks. And if you add all, it is 20 marks altogether. Okay. All right. So the most common problem among students, I believe, is that not that they do not have ideas to write their essays, but they have the ideas. It's just that they don't connect the ideas well. Okay, so how to connect all these ideas appropriately or to connect them properly, remember, you must use cohesive devices. And I'm pretty sure that your teachers have already taught you all these cohesive devices. All right. So let's just recap on some of the most common cohesive devices. Okay, let's look at when you want to add new points. Okay, look at the adding part. Okay, you can use and, also, moreover, furthermore, and so on. Okay, also the things that you like to use is when you want to illustrate examples, you always use for example, for instance, such as. All right, and these are some of the examples of what we call as cohesive devices. And yes, you must remember some of these cohesive devices because you will be using them in part 1, part 2, as well as in part 3. Okay. Next one. These are the examples of conjunctions, or if you want to memorize the examples of conjunctions, you can remember this formula. Fanboys. Okay, what does F stand for? Okay, F is for. A, and, nor, B, but, O, or, Y, yet, as, so. Okay, conjunctions are also considered as linking words. Okay, it is more or less the same like cohesive devices just now, but these are actually what we call as lower frequency words. It is better for you to use cohesive devices, but it is also important for you to use both cohesive devices as well as conjunctions in your essay. Okay, don't worry, we will share the slides in the Moodles. All right, you can refer to them later. Next one would be the examples of subordinating conjunctions. So what are the examples? As you can see there, if, since, as, when, although, while, after, before, until, because. So which one do you normally or commonly use? I'm sure you've always used because, while, when. Okay, so these are the example of subordinating conjunctions. And yes, okay, you must use them in your essay. Okay. All right, let's move on to part 1, short communicative essay, which is the email question. Okay, what are the marking criteria for part 1? Okay, we are focusing on scoring 5 marks for the content, communicative achievement, organization, and language. So in order for you to score 5 for content, remember that you must make sure the content that you want to write in part 1 is relevant to the task. Okay, and also it is very important that the target reader, which means the examiner, is fully informed of whatever that you want to write. That is for content. The second one is communicative achievement, where the text, which refers to your essay, communicates straightforward ideas using the conventions of the communicative task reasonably appropriately. Okay, so since part 1 is email, so it has to be email-like answer. Okay, when we say email, therefore you must use informal tone. Okay, how to make your writing sounds informal? This is where you must use contractions. Okay, what are contractions? I've given example there. If you want to write I am, instead of writing I am, you use apostrophe I apostrophe am, so it be I'm. So this is one example of contraction. So remember to use contraction in your email so that it will sound very informal. And also, you must include your feelings or your opinions or your elaborations when you write your answer in part 1. All right. Next one is organization. To get a 5 for organization, it's very simple actually. You have to use simple connectors. So what are the examples of simple connectors? Remember fanboys just now? So use 1 or 2 or 3, up to you. And also you must use a limited number of cohesive devices appropriately. So you don't have to use a lot of cohesive devices. If you ask me how many, it depends. Okay, it depends on you. All right, there's no minimum number or maximum number of cohesive devices or simple connectors to be used in your essay. Again, it depends on how many points you have, how you plan to connect all your points. So it all depends on you. All right, I hope that is clear. And last but not least, the language part. Okay, you have to use basic vocabulary appropriately in order to score a 5. And you must use simple grammatical forms with a good degree of control. That means in maybe 2 or 3 sentences, there's no grammatical error or mistake at all. So that is what we meant by a good degree of control. And if you have errors in your part 1, but the meaning still comes through, okay? Meaning can still be determined. No worries, you can still score a 5 for language. Okay, remember we are talking about part 1 only. That means it is fine for you to make a few mistakes here and there for part 1. And yes, you can still score full marks for part 1. All right. So moving on to the next one, the format of an email. So basically, this is the same format that we will be using, okay, for an email. Number 1, you must have the to, that is where you write the recipient's email, okay. The below to is subject. This is where you write something brief that summarizes the email. For instance, if the email is talking about going to a picnic, so we can just write going to a picnic as the subject. Okay, you don't have to think or to take some time to think of the subject. Don't waste your time, okay, just for you to come up with the subject. Just write what about that comes to your mind. Okay. Next one is hi Gina. That is what we call as salutation. Okay, after you have written the salutation, that is where you write the body of your email. For email, you can write in 1 paragraph only, or you can also write in a few paragraphs. Again, it is entirely up to you. All right. After you have written the body of the email, don't forget to provide a closing statement as simple as like what I have given you there. See you soon, bye. Okay. And lastly, sign off, your friend Ali. No signature for an email. All right. Please remember this format. Next one. Okay, I'm going to share with you steps to tackling email writing. I don't want to give very difficult tips or steps for you to remember. Just remember this acronym, APP, A-P-P. So what does A stand for? A stands for analyze. So what are you supposed to do in analyzing stage? You must read and understand the stimulus. Okay, when we say stimulus, it refers to the question. So remember to read and understand the question. All right. So how to make sure that you understand the question? Make sure you highlight, or you can also underline maybe the keywords or phrases or tasks. Okay. This is where you must read the question given carefully. Remember, that is the first step, analyze. Moving on to the second step, which is planning or plan. And this is where you have to brainstorm your ideas. So whenever you get a question, don't write your answer right away. Okay, make sure you plan your ideas first. Jot down whatever ideas that comes to your mind, okay, and make sure the ideas are related to the task. And this is also where you can list words or phrases that you think need to be included in your part 1. Okay. And the last part or the last step is present. All right, it means where you have to start writing your essay. And remember, when writing your essay, as I just mentioned just now, you have to use linkers, you have to use cohesive devices in order to connect your ideas appropriately. Also, you can insert your feelings, your opinions, give elaborations, give examples. And remember to use informal style of writing because you are writing an email. And since you are writing an email, don't forget to use contractions in order to help it sound very informal. And lastly, remember to write your email appropriately in about 80 words only. So can you write less than 80 words or can you write more than 80 words? Yes, you can. It is up to you. If you think you can write more than 80 words and you will make less mistake, then go ahead. Okay, but if you're not very confident to write more than 80 words and you think you can write between 60 to 80 words, that is also fine. And don't waste your time to count the number of words, okay, because examiners won't be counting the number of words. Okay, we are looking into the criteria which I mentioned just now, the content, the communicative achievement, the organization, and language only. Okay, remember not to count the number of words because you can use that time to check your essay instead. All right, so remember this step, APP, app. Okay, more tips. When writing your email, make sure to keep it short and simple. All right, write in simple and direct English. Okay, insert your feelings or opinions and then elaborate your point using WH questions like why, how, where, who, and so on. And remember to also provide a short and sweet ending like the example that I gave you just now. And very, very fundamental for you to use connectors and cohesive devices. Okay, so let's look at this sample question. Okay, I'll read to you. You received an email from your new friend, Amy, who has just moved to your hometown. Okay, hi, the school holiday is finally here. Let's go for a picnic with our friends. Where shall we go and what can we do there? What should we bring? I'll be waiting for your reply. Bye. Now write an email to your friend in about 80 words. Write your answer below. Okay, remember the steps just now? What are you supposed to do for the first one? Okay, the first one, you need to analyze the question. So when we say analyze the question, you need to identify what are the tasks that you are required to answer in the question. All right, so in this case, the first task is where shall we go? Right. And the second task is what can we do there? And the third task is what should we bring? So remember to highlight this task. Okay, highlight or underline whatever that you feel like doing. All right. And then after you have read and analyzed the question, you shall move to the second step, which is planning step. This is where you brainstorm your idea. Okay, what are you supposed to brainstorm? Okay, it is based on the task that you have already highlighted earlier. So task 1 just now, where shall we go? So you jot down your idea, Central Park, for example. For task 2, what can we do there? Play ball because park is huge. Or if you want to give other examples, more than one activities, also fine. Go ahead, just jot them down. And the last task, task number 3, what should we bring? Maybe you write food, mat, or snacks. Okay, so these are your ideas before you start writing your essay. And the third step, this is where you begin to write your essay. So let's read these examples. I'm sorry about the highlight that you can see in the slide. It is not like that actually. I don't know what happened when we upload our file. Okay, I highlighted a few, not all actually. So excuses for that. So I'll just read to you the sample essay. Hi Amy, I'm totally excited and I think we should go picnic at Central Park just beside East Road. We could play ball there as the park is huge. Please bring an extra mat to place our foot on just in case I forgot mine. Don't worry about the supplies. I can handle them. Though you could bring some snacks if you want. Moreover, it would be fun if we could have Daniel and Suresh come. The more, the merrier. See you soon. Bye. So if you look at this sample script, the total number of words is only 83 words. But did this sample script, answer all the 3 tasks earlier on? This one, task number 1, task number 2, and task number 3? Did it answer where shall we go? What can we do there? What should we bring? Yes or no? Definitely yes. Okay, let's reread the essay again. The first one. I think we should go picnic at Central Park. So this is to answer task number 1. All right. Next one. We could play ball there as the park is huge. This is to answer task number 2. And next one, to answer task number 3, please bring an extra mat. Okay, what are the things to bring? 1. And then to place our foot on just in case I forgot mine. Don't worry about the supplies. I can handle them, though you could bring some snacks if you want. So basically, you have already answered all 3 tasks. Therefore, for content, definitely you will score 5 out of 5. All right. So let's look at the CA, Communicative Achievement. When you read this sample essay, does it sound informal to you? Okay, remember when we say informal, what does it mean? Remember to use contraction. So can you see contraction there? I can see one, I'm. It means I am. There's another one, don't, do not. Okay, so there are 2 contractions there. Right. What about the organization? Okay. Is there any cohesive device or connectors used in this essay? Okay, there are a few. The first one, and. All right, this is conjunction as. What else? Though, moreover, and. Okay, so you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, 5 cohesive devices and conjunctions used in this essay, and definitely you will score 5 out of 5 for organization. What about the language? Did you find any grammatical error there or any inappropriate vocabulary used in this essay? Let's look at this one. The park is huge. Is it appropriate or is it suitable to describe the park as huge? It is fine. It is correct to say the park is huge. Okay. What about this one? The more the merrier. Have you heard of this saying? The more the merrier. So this is appropriate. You can use them. And the vocabulary or basic vocabulary used like excited, where you show your feelings. Okay, it would be fun. You express your opinion. So remember to insert all this in your essay. All right. So this sample script scores 20 out of 20. Okay, why? Let's look at one by one. The content. All content is relevant to the task. As I mentioned just now, you have already answered all the 3 tasks given there. Therefore, 5 straight away. Okay, what about the communicative achievement? Okay, the candidate produces a text that communicates straightforward ideas using the conventions of the communicative task, such as a consistent, friendly tone and an informal register appropriately. So again, when you read this essay, it sounds very friendly and very informal. Therefore, this candidate is awarded 5 out of 5 for the communicative achievement. And as for the organization, the candidate uses cohesive devices appropriately. Yes, indeed, the candidate did use the cohesive devices appropriately. This one to add new point. Okay, moreover, it would be fun if we could have Dani and Suraj come, okay, where the candidate is suggesting to add a new point. So it is appropriate for the candidate to use the cohesive device moreover. And last one, what about the language? The candidate uses basic vocabulary and uses simple grammatical forms with a good degree of control because there's no grammatical error at all. Therefore, we consider the script to have a good degree of control. So all in all, the candidate scored 20 out of 20 for just 83 words. So I'm sure once you have read this essay, you will be more confident to write, to answer part 1. And you know that you don't have to write more than 80 words, like 90 or 100 or 120 in order to score 20 out of 20. Okay, so you can just write maybe less than 80, but score 20 marks. All right. So let's look at sample script. Script number 2. Okay, I'll read to you. Hi, I've been received your email yesterday. Me also waiting to this school holiday because I would to join you to go a picnic at Sungai Gabai waterfall. I think there can be a perfect place to us because they have a beautiful nature and fresh environment. Sungai Gabai waterfall also suitable for our picnic because at there we can do a barbecue time. I'm so excited for that. You should bring a lot of snack and radio for us enjoy the moments. It will be a great memories for us. See you soon. So what is the total number of words for script number 2? 95 words. So what is the score given to sample script or sample essay number 2? Alright, the total score given is 5 plus 4 plus 6. How many? 15 altogether. Okay, not too shabby, which is okay. Alright, so let's look at the content. The candidate is awarded 5 out of 5. Why? Because all the content given is relevant to the task. Alright, about especially the candidate mentioned where the picnic will take place. That is task number 1. What they can do there, task number 2. And what to bring, that is task number 3. So for content, you don't have to worry about your grammar. Okay, maybe you have grammar mistake here and there, but as long as you answer all these 3 tasks, you will be awarded 5 marks because you have fulfilled the task accordingly. Okay, again, I repeat, you don't have to worry about making grammatical mistake for content. Okay, as long as you answer all the tasks given there, then surely you can score 5 out of 5 actually. Okay, please remember that. All right. Next one, for communicative achievement, okay, this candidate was given or was awarded 4 out of 5. Why? The text communicates simple ideas connected to arranging the picnic in a simple way. Some of the conventions of an email are used reasonably appropriately, such as an informal tone and register. Okay, although when you read the essay, there are a few grammatical mistakes here and there, but the tone and register, okay, they are still informal. So what are the examples? I think there can be a perfect place for us because they have a beautiful nature. So use the phrase I think. It sounds informal, all right? And also the phrase fresh environment. Okay? It shows that the candidate tries to connect his or her idea by relating to the topic of going for a picnic. Okay, as for the organization, okay, for email, I'm reading the comment there. Yes, I have one question for email. We no need put the name. You just write the email. Okay, you don't have to put a name. Just write the email. Okay, Alia Maisara. Okay, next one. Organization. Okay, why this candidate was awarded 3 marks? Okay, the text is linked using basic high frequency connectors. So remember, just now I mentioned about basic high frequency connectors. What are the examples? And, but, so. Okay, these are the examples of basic high frequency connectors. So if you just use these basic high frequency connectors, then the score that you will get is only 3. Okay, in order to get 4 or 5, remember to use a limited number of cohesive devices. All right. And the language also is being given 3 because there are some grammatical mistakes related to tenses and also the subject-verb agreement. All right. So next question. Okay. So it's already 8:46. All right. Next question. Let's look at this email. Okay. Subject. Welcome to Taman Melur Neighborhood Group. Okay. Welcome, Peter. We are so happy that you have decided to join our neighborhood group. We want to invite you to a resident get-together next month. We are excited to get to know you better. Tell us a little bit about who you are, where you were initially from, and what you do for your living. Thank you. So remember, the first step to tackling email writing just now, what is it? The first step is to analyze. When you analyze, remember to read at least the question twice. Okay, when you read the question, remember to highlight or to underline the task given in the question. Okay, I have written there task number 1, task number 2, and task number 3. Okay, who you are, where you were initially from, what you do for your living. So after the first step, analyze, plan your ideas. All right, so introduction. What can you write in the introduction? Again, refer to the email. Actually, you can just copy from the email. For example, you can just write, thank you for the invite. I'd be happy to go to the get-together. Remember to use contraction to make sure that it sounds informal. Okay, after that, you need to answer task number 1, which is who am I? So possible answer, you can give your name or you can describe who you are. Okay, for example there, first of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Mikael and I'm married with 2 beautiful daughters. They are my treasure, so I love them so much. Right, you can see there's a few connectors as well as one cohesive device used in this example. Next one, to answer task number 2, the question where I was from. Maybe you can say Teluk Intan. So in a correct sentence, in a full sentence, I was from Teluk Intan. The reason I come here is because I got promoted. I'm glad to come here. Okay, because is an example of connector. Task number 3, what I do for a living. Maybe you can say that you are a pilot or an accountant or a teacher. So, example there, I work as a pilot and my job requires me to fly passenger jets and use cohesive device. Furthermore, the best thing about my job is I can travel while working. So, as you can see, and as you have read just now, there are so many connectors and cohesive devices used in this essay, and definitely you will score 5 out of 5 for the organization. And for the conclusion, please end your email with a positive note. You can say, finally, I hope we can meet at the get-together. Thank you again for the invite. See you. All right. So I hope you are clear and you will be more confident to answer part 1. So let's proceed with Mr. Yazid's session, which is part 2, guided writing.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Azrul. Please excuse my nasal voice because I'm feeling a bit under the weather. So I hope you're clear with part one. So we're moving on to part two, which is guided writing. Okay, let's see. I'm having problem. Can Mr. Azrul, can you please
Okay,
press
sure.
the next slide? Thank you. Okay, so this is the marking criteria for part two. Okay, there's a bit of difference for part one as for communicative achievement, organization, and language. But for content, just some tips for you. For part one, part two, and part three, the marking criteria is same for content, which is all content is relevant to the task and target reader is fully informed. If you have fulfilled this criteria, then you can get 5 marks. Okay, for communicative achievement, the difference is uses the convections of communicative tasks to hold the target reader's attention. Okay, meaning that your essay need to be exciting enough to hold the target reader's attention, which is the examiner. Okay, and communicate straightforward ideas appropriately. So a few tips is you need to use a formal tone. Okay, unlike part one, it uses informal tone because you're writing the email to your friend, to your neighbor, to your family members. As for part two, usually the question requires you to write an essay to your class and your teacher, hence making it a formal tone essay. And then in order for you to hold the target reader's attention, you need to include the reader in your essay. Okay, how can you include the reader? By asking questions in your essay and uses the pronoun we or you. Okay, later we'll look at the example to show you how can we include this in our essay. Okay, as for organization, text is generally well organized and coherent. Okay, the keyword is coherent, using a variety of devices. Like part one, it says uses simple connectors and some cohesive devices, limited cohesive devices, meaning that if you write limited devices, you are able to get 5. Unlike in part 2, you need to write a variety of cohesive devices. Variety meaning you need to write a lot and avoid repeating the same cohesive devices. Okay, and then as for language, uses a range of everyday vocabulary with occasional inappropriate uses of less common lexicon. Okay, meaning you don't have to worry. You only need to use everyday vocabulary and a few less common lexis. Okay, less common lexis is words that people rarely use. For example, if you usually buy, okay, buy, beli, buy, then the less common lexis we should use is purchase. So then they can award mark for your language. Okay, and then uses a range of simple and some complex grammatical forms with a good degree of control. So for language in part 2, you need to write some complex grammatical forms. So what is complex grammatical forms? We'll have a look later. And then the third criteria is errors do not impede communication. Okay, almost the same as part one. If you do have errors in your writing for part two, if it does not impede communication, then you will be able to get 5 for language. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, okay, sorry. I can control it now. Okay, so here is the sentence type. Okay, so we have simple sentences, compound sentence, and complex sentence. So I'm going to focus on complex sentence. One of the requirements for language is you need to have some complex grammatical form in your essay. So what are complex sentences is, it contains an independent clause and a dependent clause. And dependent clause begins with a subordinating conjunction. Okay, if you remember, Mr. Azrul already explained about subordinating conjunctions in the earlier slides. Please remember the acronym ISA WAWABA. Okay, so I always remind my student, if you enter the hall, then list down all the subordinating conjunctions, list down all the cohesive devices, and list down all the conjunctions that you can remember, so that when you are writing, you will be able to see, oh, I haven't include these in my writing. So it's important for you to first list down all of these things, then you won't miss them in your thing. Okay, and then okay, here are the tips for tackling part 2. Okay, you need to have an introduction, body, paragraph, and conclusion. Okay, for this part, it is advisable for you to have at least 5 paragraphs. Okay, 1 for introduction, 3 for body paragraph, which is content 1, content 2, and content 3, and 1 paragraph for conclusion. Okay, and then for the introduction, you need to guide the reader to the topic. Okay, you cannot answer the tasks given yet. You need to guide the reader to the topic. How? You can give fact, you can give advice, or you can give your opinion. Okay, and then same as part 1, you must use conjunctions and cohesive devices. Okay, and then for conclusion, you insert your feelings or opinions. Okay, it doesn't have to be too long for your conclusion and introduction. Okay, then develop each point using WH questions. Okay, if you cannot remember, just look at your fingers. Who, what, where, when, why, and in the middle is how. So I always remember my students like this. So look at your fingers. Who, what, where, when, why, and how. Okay, and then the tip is include the reader. Okay, so now let's have a look at how you can write the introduction. Okay, because remember, you need to attract the reader's attention. You need to hold the target reader's attention. So first impression is very important. Your introduction must be interesting. So you can use repetition. Okay, you can use this technique. For example, if the topic is about money, so you can stress on money. Money, money, money. All of us need money. Okay, however, we need to spend our money wisely. So see how this introduction uses all of us. This way includes the reader in your essay. And then the next sentence, however, we need to spend our money wisely. Again, including the reader in your essay. Okay, that's how you hold the target reader's attention. Okay, another way of writing the introduction is you can use question. Okay, for example, what would you do if you have RM 1 million? Okay, how should you spend your money? So again, using the pronoun, or you can start your essay with fact or opinion. Okay, everything costs money nowadays. Nothing is free in this world. So that is actually a fact or an opinion. Then you start to answer the task given. Okay, so here is the sample question. Okay, I would like to refresh your memory about app, which is analyze, sorry, which is analyze, plan, and present. Okay. All right. So for analyze, same as part one, look at the question. Okay. Your class has been discussing how they spend their money, and your teacher has asked you to write an essay about what would you spend your money. So the task given that you need to answer is, what would you like to buy? Reasons for your choice, and where do you usually buy these things? So answering these three tasks, you will be able to get content 5 marks. Okay, so I'm going to explain about task 2. Task 2 requires you to give more than one reason, because it states reasons for your choice. More than one, how many should we write? 2 is enough. It must be more than one. What happens if you write only one reason? Then you will be deduct 1 mark for content. Yes, I saw someone has a question. If you do have a question, please just chat here. Okay, I'm not sure where I can see your questions. Okay, let's move on. Okay, for this essay, you have to write in about 125 to 150 words. This is long essay or short essay. Okay, thank you for the question, Alia. Okay, you need to write in about 125 to 150 words. Okay, so same as part 1, you won't be penalized if you write more, or you won't be less if you write less. But if you write than 125, most probably you won't have enough words to give elaborations, hence deducting marks for your communicative achievement and your language, most probably. Okay, so if you write more than 150 words, you won't be penalized, but it will take your time to write part 3 and part 1. So just write, it is advisable for you to write within the word limit given. Okay, 125 to 150. Part 1, you don't need to count. Okay, just complete the task given. All right. Okay, I hope that answers your question. So let's have a look at the sample question. Okay, it starts off by giving a fact. Okay, we all need money in order to buy something that we like. We sure do. Okay, nothing is free in this world. Okay? Therefore, when we have money, we need to use it wisely. Okay, if it is spent on the things that we don't need, we will waste our money. There are a lot of good and worthy you can buy. For example, clothes and books. So, in the introduction, the student gives his or her opinion or fact about money. Okay, and then he or she includes the reader by using the pronoun we. But he or she did not answer task 1 yet. So that is a good example of an introduction. Then moving on to second paragraph. As for me, if I have money, I would like to buy a guitar. An acoustic guitar has been in my wish list since I started watching song covers on YouTube. I've been dreaming on playing it, but I haven't had enough money to purchase it. So let's have a look at paragraph 2. I've highlighted the cohesive as for me, and I've highlighted the subordinating conjunctions, which give marks for your language. So the student uses if Okay, and since. And I've highlighted the conjunction but. So all of the words that that you see in purple gives mark for organization. The phrase that I highlighted in yellow, to buy a guitar, means fulfill task 1, which is what would you like to buy? Okay, so for this part, the question asks what would you like to buy. So you as a writer, just now I said we need to use pronoun we and you, right? But if the question asks about you, so you need to use I. So you cannot say, if you have money, you would like to buy a guitar. No, you cannot do that because it won't fulfill the task. Okay, so and then task 1 has been fulfilled. So the next paragraph, the reasons why I want to buy guitar is because I love music. Okay, that is the reason number 1 for task 2. Okay, and then I knew how to play piano before, but I want to learn something new. It would be amazing if I get to play more than one instrument. Moreover, I want to learn how to play the guitar by myself. I can do that by watching tutorials on YouTube. In that way, I don't have to waste my guitar lessons. So, this candidate has answered task 2 perfectly by giving 2 reasons. Okay, so task 2 has been fulfilled, and this candidate uses the cohesive devices moreover and in that way. Okay, so for the third paragraph, I usually buy my instrument at the music shop called Yamaha. During task number 3, where do you usually buy this thing? And then continue, they have good quality instruments, so their price is expensive. However, it is worth it because it's better than low quality instruments. So answering task 3. For the conclusion, this candidate writes, in a nutshell, I spend my money on guitar because that's what I need to play. That's what I need to play a new instrument. Okay, they said money can't buy you happiness, but it can surely help me achieve my goals. So this candidate giving his opinion about money. Okay, so that is a sample essay which given the marks 20/20. So for content, like I said, all content is relevant to the task and the target reader is fully informed because this candidate answered all the 3 tasks given and giving 2 reasons. Okay, and then for communicative achievement, the candidate uses the conventions of communicative tasks. Straightforward ideas are communicated. Okay, and then for organization, the essay is well organized and well paragraphed. That's why your essay need to have an body, paragraph, and conclusion because it will affect your marks for organization. And there is a variety of cohesive devices. Okay, if you are able to see the sample script just now, this candidate avoid using the same cohesive devices because one of the criteria for you to get 5 for organization is you need to have a variety of cohesive devices, correct? So for language, the candidate uses a range of everyday vocabulary with appropriate use of common lexis, simple and some more complex grammatical forms. Like I said, if you want to get 5 for your language, you need to use the subordinating conjunctions. So this candidate used if, since, because. So they have he has some. So which is enough for this candidate to get 5/5 language. All right, I hope it's clear. So we'll have a look at sample 2. Okay, we must spend our money on the good things. I want to share how I spend my money. First thing, F should be capitalized. So we need to deduct marks for language. First thing, we must have a target. What do you want to buy with your money? After that, we have to focus to your aim. Like me, I want to buy a pair of shoes. I think that's my favorite item. Shoes can make me happy because when we walk with the shoes, I look so smart and handsome. Other than that reasons, when I use shoes, I have more confidence and I can use the shoes in a long time. I can buy my favorite shoes at Sport Planet. Other than that place, we also can bought. We must spend our money on things. I hope you all use my ideas. Spend money. So, looking at this essay, yes, this candidate have grammar mistakes here and there, but we need to look at the content first. Okay, CCAOL. We look at the content first. Does this candidate answers the 3 tasks given? The first task is, what would you like to buy? So this candidate stated that I want to buy a pair of shoes. Okay, task 1 complete. And then task 2, reasons for your choice. Okay, this candidate states, when I use shoe, I have more confidence. Okay, so that is his first. And then reason number 2 is, and I can use the shoes in a long time. Okay, grammar mistakes, but we are not going to look at that first. We're just going to look at whether the task failed. So task 2 complete. And where do you usually buy this thing? So this candidate wrote, I can buy my favorite shoes at Sport Planet. Task 3 complete. So we know that this candidate is able to get 5 for content. Okay, and then for communicative achievement, organization, and language, we'll look at organization first. I've highlighted the cohesive devices. This candidate used after that, other than that, and then repeat this cohesive devices, other than that, and then finally, okay, and then have simple connectors such as and, repeat the same and they have one subordinating conjunction, which is because. Okay, so we'll look at the marks. So, like I said just now, it is able to get 5 for content, no problem. As for communicative achievement, one of the requirements for you to get 5/5 is you need to be able to hold the target reader's attention. If the reader reads your essay and find grammatical mistakes which which limits your the reading, which stops the reading, meaning that it will deduct marks for communicative achievement. The essay is not smooth from the beginning until the end. That's why this candidate only able to get 3/5. Organization, one of the requirement is variety of cohesive devices. So this candidate lacks cohesive devices. Okay. As for language, yes, this candidate got 3 because basic vocabulary related to the topic is used appropriately. So that's why this candidate got 3. And then he or she has simple grammatical form such as present tense and are used with a good degree of control. And there are some noticeable errors, but meaning can still be determined. Okay, so that's why this candidate got 3. So that sample essay is 13 out of 20, which is not actually. Okay. Okay, now let's have a look at one more question. Okay, let's say you got this question. In your class, you have been talking about hobbies. Okay, your teacher has asked to write an essay about benefits of having hobbies. In your essay, you should write about your hobby, when you usually do your hobby, and why you enjoy the hobby. Okay, so it doesn't state how many reasons should we give. Don't forget to read the last sentence. Essay using the notes and giving reasons for your point of view, meaning that you need to give more than one reason. So remember analyze. Okay, analyze your questions. So the 3 tasks are your hobby, when you usually do your hobby, and why you enjoy the hobby. Okay, and then let's have a look at the introduction. Remember, you need to catch the reader's attention. You need to hold the reader's attention. So for this sample, I use the technique of asking question. Okay, attract the reader to the topic. Include the reader in your. So the example is, how do you spend your leisure time? Do you waste your time doing pointless activities? Stop doing that. This can be asking the reader to stop doing what they are doing. That is how you include the reader. So the reader will be like, oh, I need to stop doing pointless activities. Okay, and then we need to spend our pastime doing mindful hobbies because it will benefit our lives. So this is an example of using the technique question for you to write an introduction. Okay, so let's move on to planning. P, planning your to answer your first task, which is to answer question 1, your hobby. Okay, the possible answers are, you can say that dancing, and you can give elaborations by giving description of or benefit of your hobby. So please remember, if let's say if this question comes out, which I doubt, but if this comes out, please avoid common hobbies, playing football, cooking, watch TV, read books. Avoid that kind of hobbies because you need to hold the target reader's attention. So you need to give interesting hobbies. Okay, for let's say, for this example, I use dance. So first and foremost, hobby is something we do that we enjoy. Okay, as for me, the hobby I enjoy is dancing. And I've learned many types of dances, for instance, Zapin, Joget, Inang, and even K-pop dance, TikTok. Okay, not many people know there are several benefits of dancing, such as it helps our bodies and minds relax. So I've highlighted all the cohesive devices and conjunctions in this paragraph. So first and foremost, as for me, and for instance, not many people know, such as, and. Okay, and then I've underlined the task which we need to fulfill, which is the hobby. What is your hobby? The hobby I enjoy is dancing. Answering your first question. And then I've learned many types of dances, for instance, Zapin, Joget, Inang, and even K-pop dance. That is communicative achievement by giving elaborations for your content. Okay, and then that is for question 1. Question 2, when you usually do your hobby. So you can jot down, okay, do your hobby. It doesn't have to be a specific time. I usually do my hobby on Sunday morning at 10 o'clock in the morning. No, you can include a situation where where you do your hobby, which is during my free time, or when I feel stressed, or when I feel bored. So it answers the question when you usually do your hobby. So look at the example. Furthermore, I often do my hobby when I feel stressed because of school or my social life. Right? School is very stressful, correct? So you need to have a hobby to release your stress. So for your information, if we occupy our time doing a healthy hobby, we can channel our stress out in a healthy way. So we need to find time to release and not bottle up our stress. Therefore, we need to have a healthy hobby. So remember, said the highlighted, the bold phrases, the bold words in this passage give marks for organization, which is furthermore, because, for your information, therefore, and. And I've highlighted if to give marks for your language, because you need to have a complex sentence in your language. So we need to use a subordinating conjunction. Okay, so if we occupy our time during doing a healthy hobby, yes. So, and then I've underlined the task that we have fulfilled, which is when you usually do your hobby. I often do my hobby when I feel stressed. Okay, so we need to have a checklist. Okay, so CCAOL. Okay, we got marks for C already. We got marks for CA, which is giving elaborations. Okay, including the reader. We need to find, right, including the reader. And then checklist number 3, organization. Does our paragraph have enough variety of cohesive device? Yes, then tick. And then language. Does our paragraph has subordinating conjunctions? Do you use complex sentences in your writing? Yes, tick. So that's how you check. At every time you write your paragraph, you check whether you have all these 4 areas. Okay. All right. So to answer question 3, why you enjoy your hobby. So remember, you need to give at least 2 reasons why. So you can say that you like to learn about the culture or history, or you like listening to music. So you can start by giving your opinion. Because why, right? So the question asks why, meaning that it requires you to give your opinion. So personally, which is one of the cohesive devices, I am really into dancing because I can learn about the culture and history. Reason number 1, while dancing, okay, so for your information, different cultures have different types of dance. If you learn to dance this variety of dances, about their culture. Okay. Moreover, I am into dancing because I like listening to music. Reason number 2. Okay. So, answering the question why you enjoy your hobby. Again, have a checklist. Okay. CCAOL. Does your paragraph answers the task? C. Yes. I can. Or the task is why you enjoy your hobby. So your answer is I can learn about the culture and history, one reason, and I like listening to music. So content is task 1 is fulfilled. Okay. So I have a question. How do I use new words for essay? Okay. The old-fashioned way is to read. Okay, you cannot avoid not reading for language, any language, not just English, Malay, Chinese, whatever you need to learn. You need to read. Another method is enjoy watching. You enjoy watching YouTube, right? So watch YouTube. You watch English channels. avoid other languages. Then you can learn new words from the videos. Okay, watch English movie and listen to English songs. So that's how you get new words in a more interesting way. Okay, I know most of you does not enjoy reading, so use these other methods to learn new words. Okay, all right. I hope it helps. Okay, and then personally, sorry, where was I? Okay, task has been already fulfilled. 2 reasons. Communicative achievements. I've given the paragraph has given an elaboration. Okay, and then organization. All the bold words and phrases are for marks for organization, and for language they do have subordinating conjunction, which is while and if. So some complex grammatical form. So those 3 paragraphs has fulfilled the content points. Okay, for the conclusion, you just need to insert your feelings or opinions. Okay, so you can say, all in all, I believe we all must have a hobby in order to have a healthy life. It does not matter if your hobby is singing, dancing, doing magic tricks, or even collecting foreign currency, because what matters is you enjoy doing it. So giving your feelings or your opinions about the topic to end the essay in a positive note. Okay, so that is all for tips to answer part 1, which is presented by Ms. Azrul, and part 2, which is presented by me. So I hope we are able to help you to write at least for part 1 and part 2, because a few more tips. If you want to answer the question in your exam, don't go for part 3 first. Okay, focus on part 1 and part 2 first, because the marking criteria for part 1 and part 2 is much easier for part 3, which means it's easy for you to get marks for part 1 compared to part 2 and part 3. Yeah, I know some of you are thinking, oh, I need to write part 3 first because we need to write 200 to 250 words. But it's better for you to focus on part 1 and part 2 because it's easier for you to get marks. Okay, so I hope a workshop class
There's one more
is
question.
able to help. Okay, yes, we have one more question. Sir,
Yeah. There.
is it okay for us to include interesting phrases and idioms for the conclusion, or just our feelings or opinions are enough? By all means, yes, you can insert interesting phrases or idioms or even quotes from famous people, even quotes from movies, even quotes from a song. Okay, so by all means, you can use it. By using this, it will be able to hold the target reader's attention. Okay, remember, in order for you to get communicative achievement 5, you need to be able to hold the target reader's attention. Yes. One more question. Hi, Alia. I would like.
Not
Sorry, it's
question,
not a
but tip.
question. Sorry.
By Teacher Aiman. Yep.
Yes. Okay. Yes. Thank you for sharing, Teacher Aiman. Okay. All right. I think that is all for today's workshop, for today's class. So I would like to end our class with the phrase, write it right. Okay. Thank you so much.